Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in and watching the video today. I just got through finishing doing a little solo overnight hammock camping, and before I pack everything up, I thought I'd go over what my hammock is. I've had a few people ask questions about it, and although there are much better reviews than what this one will probably be, I'm going to give it my best just to go over some of the features I find unique about it and why I've settled with this one after trying multiple different hammocks. So behind me is the Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. It's a double layer, and I've had it now for almost a year, but I've been through other different hammocks, so I'm still fairly new to hammock camping in a sense that in the time that I've spent out in the woods, I've still done more tent camping and tarp camping than what I have hammock camping, but I've gone through enough hammocks to know kind of what I've found out that I like and what I prefer. I went with the Warbonnet XLC just because the length was longer than most of your standard hammocks you can get, like an Eno or other just plain bunched in hammocks. And that's big and important because the longer that your hammock is, the flatter of a lay that you can get. Now, it does matter about the angle of your straps, but if your straps are set at the right angle to get a good lay, but your hammock's shorter, you have less room to lay in a diagonal. And laying in a diagonal is something that everyone always talks about when it comes to hammock camping. And the reason is because that's the way for you to get the flattest lay. And a flat lay is important because otherwise you can end up with things like calf ridge or shoulder squeeze, and it just makes an uncomfortable night where you'll probably never give hammocks another chance. So let me take you in and show you some of the things that I really like about the Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. So like I mentioned, it is a double layer hammock, and although last night it wasn't cold enough here in Texas for me to put a pad or for me to use an underquilt if I had one, the double layer helps in my area, and it could help you in your area if you have really bad bugs and mosquitoes, because having the double layer means they can't bite through you. So the way that they have this done at Warbonnet is your double layer on your foot end is a really wide open space, and it goes to almost about the middle of the hammock, maybe a little bit past that. So that's where you can initially slide your pad in. You won't have to worry about fitting it in a small hole or fighting it coming out the other end because it's sewn together right here. So like I said, it's sewn together at this section right here, and then looking through the bug net, it starts to open up again right here. And the reason that I found that that's opened up is once you get inside the hammock, you can actually reach around and put your hand in this little small opening here and pull your pad underneath your shoulder real well. So once you're in the hammock, you'll notice that it has an actual footbox area, and all that means is that the hammock is cut at an angle. So instead of it just being a straight teardrop shape or a straight curve like this, it's actually got a corner that the zipper follows right here, and this is where you put your feet. So your feet go here, and then your head will go up that way, and that helps you get a flatter lay because you're sitting at an angle and you're in the middle of the hammock, and whenever you lay in a diagonal this way, the hammock stretches out and it helps you get that flat lay. Next thing that's very unique to Warbonnet, and it's one of the big features that I just absolutely love about it, is that it gives you a shelf. So you can see right here, my pillow is in that foot box and how it bulges out and comes around that curve. Well, the hammock also continues here, and then it's got this extra piece of material that's a shelf. So when you're in the hammock, you can put your books, your keys, your water bottle, battery charger, any of that kind of stuff. And it just has two guy lines that come out and a piece of like shock type cord and one of the cord locks that you stake to the ground, and that helps pull it out away from the hammock. Then when you follow it around, the head box, or where you put your head once you zip it up, which let me do that real quick. You can see that the bug net is actually, there's a section between the hammock material itself and the bug net that keeps it pulled off your head and off your face. So your head will lay here and your feet down there in the foot box, and then there's another set of guy lines that come out with the same thing that you stake out. And this helps pull the bug net off of your face, and it kind of gives a spot for your head to be and for your face to be that allows some airflow to where the material is not wrapped up around your face. It does have a ridgeline that is disconnected from the hammock, so the bug net just kind of sits on top of it, and then that ridgeline is tied into the lashing area. So we'll talk about this real quick too. The bug net goes all the way around the hammock, and it actually comes off completely, and there's two toggles. There's one on this end and one on the other end, and as you zip it around, you undo the toggles, and that just relieves some of the stress whenever you're laying in it, or whenever the hammock's just strung up. It's not putting all that weight just on the zippers. These toggles help keep some of the stress off. So you would just take the toggles off, and it detaches pretty easily. But by doing that, you're getting rid of the shelf, because the shelf will come with the bug net. You can see that the zipper's here. And then you'll also be getting rid of essentially the foot box and the head box, because it'll just become a standard hammock then. If we go down here to the other end, this is the stuff sack that it comes with, and it's just like a sock, like a tube stuff sack. It's got open ends on both ends. So what I do is when I go to take it down, I just close one end and put the ends here, the clip in or the rings, and close it, and then I stuff everything in from the other side, and that way it never hits the ground, and I never get any kind of dirt or condensation or moisture or anything on it. So looking at my suspension system, there's multiple different ways. There's a company called Dutchware Gear that makes all kinds of components and different things. You can go with whoopee slings and toggles and all that, but I'm just going with what I already had, and what I already had was 2 climbing grade carabiners, and then my JB's Outdoor Supply Zodiac straps. They're really heavy duty straps. They don't stretch, they don't slip. I can show you the stitching on those. So they're well over stitched. And then JB's Outdoor Supply makes an adapter kit for like Eno hammocks and stuff that use carabiners, and it's basically just a doubled up piece of their webbing sewn together, and then they've got one of their buckles that you slip through and put it over this side, and whenever you do, the weight itself causes this to bind, and it can't go through that buckle. There's definitely stuff that's a lot lighter, but I just like this option because I know it's not going to slip, and I don't mind carrying the extra weight. It's something I didn't have to pay extra for. I may look into upgrading to a whoopee sling suspension, but this is working for me right now. So once you get your angle right of your straps, you'll just notice that having a longer hammock and one that's diagonally cut like this, it keeps you from getting that calf ridge. And basically the calf ridge is just the center of the hammock. Whenever it's under stress, the center of the hammock kind of bunches up, and there's a tight piece of material that'll push on the back of your calves, and essentially it's causing your knee, instead of your knee bending normal like this, it's trying to bend your knee the other way, and you'll fall asleep at first. But I would always wake up at night with either a leg cramp or just my legs, my calves really sore, and this has absolutely eliminated that for me. So it is a bit pricey, but it's a lifetime warranty. Everything on it's very high quality. They're all handmade, and it's just a really great company. There's a lot of different components and parts and pieces that you can add to it, like their different tarps that they make with doors and all that. So it's definitely one of those things that's an investment. It's a buy once, cry once kind of thing, and it's just something I've really enjoyed. They do offer a single layer, so if you are in an area that's not as buggy but you need that warmth, you can use their underquilts. But for me, I prefer the double layer. I like having the option of, if I don't find a place that has trees that are far enough apart, or that work for me using the hammock, I at least have my pad that I can use the tarp in the pad and sleep on the ground. So I've always got 2 ways of having a shelter, and I'm never kind of pigeonholed whenever I go out. So I didn't want to go into too much detail because, like I said, there's other way more thorough hammock reviews for this specific hammock. I can put a couple of those videos in the description box below. I know Shug has a really good one of him actually laying in it. I just wanted to go over some of the main features that I think separates this from the hammocks I've used in the past. I've used an Eno. That was my very first hammock, and their webbing suspension strap system. And I've also used a Hennessy hammock and this is kind of an upgrade to the Hennessy hammock. So it's still diagonally cut. It lets you have a foot box and a head box to lay diagonal, but you get that shelf. The weight limit's higher, and the bug net can completely separate from the hammock, whereas I had one of the old ones where you crawled through the bottom and it had the Velcro. One last little tip or trick is when you go to order this hammock, you need to know before you order it whether you sleep to the right or the left. And basically that's just wherever your feet are. So I'll sleep with my feet off to the right and my head off to the left on that diagonal. So when you order your Hennessy hammock, they come stock like that. If you sleep opposite, like I know Shug Emery does, he sleeps with his feet to the left and his foot to the right. You just need to specify that, and they will make that custom for you, and they'll flip it to where the shelf is on your left side and the head box is on your right, foot box is on your left. So I know this is a super quick review. I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I hope it helped you out and maybe answered some questions. If you'd like to know what the other gear and stuff is that you might have seen in the background or this tarp up above me, tune into my solo hammock camping video that I'll be posting, and I will go over all the gear and show you everything that I brought with me. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to get outside and enjoy the woods.